Namaste everyone, and good day to you all for this. It's just a one-off yoga session which I wanted to do because I had some questions coming in from people about the common mistakes that they were making, and they wanted me to just cover a few of the important points people need to be aware of. Can everybody hear me? I just need to make sure everybody, let me just, hello? Yes. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I had this on public, on live public session. So you can hear me clearly? Can everybody, whoever's here, can you just give me a thumbs up to let me know that you are able to hear me loud and clear? And this session is in English only, but the session in Hindi will follow this. So that will be at about 12:45 p.m. So this will be about 30-minute session. We want to cover the common questions that people have on, like, the kind of errors they make. Okay, so let me just say it in Hindi for people who might be listening. जो हिंदी का सेशन है वो इसके 45 मिनट बाद हम करेंगे, तो उसमें हम यही चीज़ें बताएंगे जो इंग्लिश में बताने वाले हैं. सो यू कैन, उसमें के लिए आप वापस आ जाएं, ठीक है ना, अगर आप हिंदी में सुनना चाहते हैं. So these are the kind of common mistakes in yoga breathing practices, and these yoga breathing exercises are known as pranayamas. Okay, so the first kind of common, well, let's start right from the very beginning. That is from the kind of environment you should choose where you're going to sit. We're going to go through the whole thing, and the common mistakes people make in their yoga practice. Okay, so that if you are doing any of these things wrongly, then you'll be able to associate with what I'm telling you and hopefully correct it for the better. Okay, so first things first is like your environment that you choose. Yeah, you got to make sure you're in a spot, in a place which is nice and clean, okay, which is relatively well ventilated. So you have a window that you could open because you need some fresh air to come in. Okay, you need to make sure that that space is your space, that you can constantly use it. You know, when obviously you use it on a daily basis, try and stick to a certain timing. So if you decide to do your breathing exercise at 7 a.m. every morning, or at 9 a.m. or at 6 p.m, stick to that. You can do the sitting once a day, or if you have a lot of issues or health related issues, obviously doing it twice a day is beneficial. But like I said, people who have major breathing problems, i.e. like asthma and so forth, and they just can't breathe, are not able to then do these exercises. This is not for them. Okay, now it is actually very difficult also for people who have heart conditions or high blood pressure, and also other kind of stomach, any kind of recent operations that they've had. So all of these people can do it, but they have to do it with a certain strength of breathing in and out. So that is important that you understand what that strength is. So I will look at that, but over videos it's very difficult. You do in reality need to be looked at by a practitioner of pranayamas, a yoga breathing person, who can then assess that you're correctly breathing. That's if you have high blood pressure, heart conditions, or you've had any other major operation in the last 3 months, or even 6 months really. But you do need to then be a bit more careful how you do the exercises. Okay, so I've spoken about access to some air, ventilated room, open window. I've talked about a nice spot, a clean spot. I've talked about keeping to the same position, that same spot in your practice, because your energy accumulates there, and also sticking to the similar time every day. Okay, pranayama practice, I've said to everybody, do it as a minimum for 40 days, but they say that if you do this practice continuously for 90 days, your body's complete biochemistry changes for the better. So it's about regular practice, and obviously when you do something regularly, and that 40-day period is actually a very culturally, religiously, spiritually, scientific amount of time, and it's used in a lot of cultures, and it is because it gets ingrained, it gets into your system properly. Okay, so regular practice daily. How long should you practice for? Minimum 30 minutes, ideally 1 hour. Okay, I've done my sittings, and in about 50 minutes to 55 minutes I do the complete range of exercises, and that's actually a little bit more than what I've taught you guys, but you got them all predominantly. It's just one or two others. Right, so common mistakes is what we're going to look at. Then when you're in that environment, you need to make sure that you are not disturbed by any sounds. Okay, and if you are disturbed by sounds, that you just make sure you can stay focused. If you can't hear my videos very well, I have said to people that when you put the earphone in to your iPad, your computer or whatever, then these videos are actually very clear. So some people have hearing issues, or they just don't hear it as well. So if they don't, put the earphones in and you will hear it very clearly. Okay? Make sure your phone is switched off, make sure your television is switched off, and make sure you cannot be disturbed as much as is possible. This is very important. Okay, so these are the common mistakes, firstly, before you even begin to do the breathing exercises. You should then have at least 2 glasses of warm water, because your stomach needs this, because we are going to be exercising the internal organs, and a lot of toxins will come out, and then obviously they will come out through your bladder as well. But you do need warm water, like heated up water, and get it to not just tepid, but a little bit warmer than that. And you should have at least 2 glasses of warm water on an empty stomach, and you should then begin your pranayama practice. Okay? So breathing exercises after you've had something to drink. You can do a little bit of minor exercises before you begin your pranayamas, just to get the body a bit more supple and relaxed. So you could move your legs forward, move your wrists, just do some basic exercises. But once you decide to sit for the breathing exercises, I would recommend you don't move again. If, however, you do need to move because you're getting stiffness and you're getting problems in your hip or in your lower back or something like that, then by all means, this is the best solution. Look, I've deliberately put a seat behind. You can sit like this. And your feet should be on the floor, connected to the floor. You must not cross your feet like this. Okay? And you must keep your feet shoulder width apart. Your spine must always be straight. Okay? You can't be sitting forward like this, and you can't be sitting too erect like this. And your spine must be straight, your neck must be in line with the spine. Okay? And just sitting upright and not slouched or slumped like this, but not too upright either. That's wrong. Some people sit like this, too upright. This is actually wrong. And actually I can feel pressure in my lower back as I arch my lower back slightly. This is not good. Okay, so sit relaxed, and you can lean against, you could be in an armchair, you could have the arms on the chair alongside so that you don't fall over, because in some breathing practices you become so engrossed in it that you become a little bit sleepy and you could fall off. So make sure that if you do, there's a chance so that you could sleep or fall off, then you need to make sure you've got support on your side, or you're sitting on a sofa as well. It should be a harder surface, but it's fine, okay, as long as it's not such a soft sofa that it brings you down too much, yeah? So sit cross-legged on the floor, or you sit on the chair. And sitting cross-legged is called Sukha Asana. In fact, I have explained that in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, he talks of no physical postures at all, except for one. Sthira Sukham Asanam, says Maharishi Patanjali, Atha Yoga Anushasanam, that if you are disciplined enough to sit in Sukhasana like this, then you are disciplined to do yoga pranayama exercises and the other yogic things, which are dhyan, dharana, dhyan, samadhi, and so on. So there are other processes that he talks about. But he says the prerequisite is that you must be physically fit enough just to be able to sit in Sukhasana like this, or in Siddhasana with one leg up like so, or in Padmasana, which is lotus position, okay? So, but I would say to you, look, remember, Sukham Asanam simply means be comfortable. So if you are going to be comfortable on a chair, or on a stool, or on a sofa, so be it. Because what we don't want is you fidgeting and moving and then doing this and then doing that and then rotating your feet and so on, because you're breaking the flow, you're breaking the concentration. So yoga pranayama exercises take you into that state, that meditative state, but only if you are able to sit quietly. Otherwise, if you're fidgeting and moving, it's not going to give you that full benefit. And there is always benefit to doing something, but remember, we want to try and maximize the benefits from doing it correctly. Okay? But like I said, if in between you do feel that you are getting tension in your joints, you do then need to move a little bit and then come back to it. The minimum of each breathing exercise should be 5 minutes. Each breathing exercise minimum duration you do it for is 5 minutes. But there are 2 exercises I've told you, Kapalabhati and Anulom Vilom, and I am speaking in the way that you've already heard all of this, because you've already seen over a 2-week period the videos that I launched in English and in Hindi. Okay, so you should already be aware of what I'm talking about when I'm saying the names of certain breathing exercises. If you haven't, then really this video isn't really for you yet. You need to be referring back to those videos and then come back to this maybe. But it's good to just listen to this as well, because you'll know some of the common mistakes. But it may lead to confusion if you've not done any of the breathing exercises. So therefore, the minimum in both Anulom Viloma and Kapalabhati, you should do 15 minutes. 15 minutes should be there. So if you couldn't do 15 minutes continuously, you can do 5 minutes and then take a half a minute or 1 minute break, and then do another 5 minutes, and then another half a minute, 1 minute break, and then another 5 minutes. But if you can do 15 minutes continuously, that is the best. The minimum you must do breathing exercises for 30 minutes, and that is for 10 minutes of Bhastrika, 10 minutes of Kapalabhati, 10 minutes of Anulom Vilom. So if you have only 30 minutes in the day to do this, and you want to do it morning and evening, or just one sitting, morning or evening, you should do it, these 3 exercises. Bhastrika, 10 minutes, Kapalabhati 10, Anulom Vilom 10 minutes. When you take a pause in between because you can't do it continuously, then you must not open your eyes. I repeat, you must not open your eyes. You must stay still, you must stay silent. Okay? And then keep in that focus. When we do certain breathing exercises, we have to hold a hand position or a mudra. So this is the hand position or hand seal, that is as it's known. A mudra helps the breath to move in a certain way. So these are the 5 elements from which we are made. The thumb represents fire. The first finger, index finger, represents air. The middle finger represents space. The ring finger represents earth. And the little finger, pinky, represents water. So when we connect these fingers in a certain way, these elements within us work in a certain way, and therefore the breath work that we're doing is actually influenced also by these hand seals. Okay? So there is a certain mudra, and you need to hold that mudra for the entire exercise. So if you did 15 minutes of Kapalabhati, you must hold one mudra. You can't just decide to do one and then after 5 minutes change another. You can if you wish, but it's not ideal. It's better you just stick to the one mudra. Okay? Good. Next point is, you know about sitting now, and your back of the hand should rest on your knees like so. No need to make your arm out straight like this, because again there's tension forming here. There could be tension forming here. So therefore we want to minimize the physical tension when we do breathing, because our focus needs to be on the breath. Now where should we focus? We always breathe in. I'm going to look at one of the questions. I've got several questions have come through. So one of them I remember. There's, when do we breathe in? Sorry, is it through the nose or another part? It's only through the nose. We never breathe in through the mouth. Okay? We're only always, in every exercise you see, we are breathing in from the nose and out from the nose. There are some exercises though where you will breathe out from the mouth, but there are none that I have taught you. Okay? And there are other exercises where you breathe in from the mouth, but again I have not taught you any of those. It's only breathing in from the nose and out from the nose. However, this is a big common mistake. There are 3 aspects to breathing in from the nose. Yes, you can do nasal breathing, you can do thoracic breathing, or you can do abdominal breathing. What does that mean? That means I can pull, my lips are sealed, but I'm physically pulling the air from the nose by just doing nasal breathing. Look. You probably even saw my nostrils moving. This is forceful nasal breathing. Nasal breathing is only used in one exercise, and it's not done very forcefully. It's done a bit more softly. It's for anulom vilom, this one. So we breathe from the nose. We pull from the nose area, from this area. This is important to understand. Pulling from the thoracic region means imagining that there is a spirit or a power source sitting here, which is your spirit, your Jivatma or your Atmaram, and that's also known as your ghost body in English. And that sits here. You want to imagine that is there between the lungs at the heart chakra, the Anahat chakra as it's known. And you're breathing in from here. Now watch, I'm not pulling from the nose, I'm going to pull from here. This is known as thoracic breathing, breathing from the thoracic region. Look, my nostrils aren't moving because I'm pulling from here. Okay? Very important. This is used for Bhastrika Pranayama, the ones for the lungs. In all the 3 versions of Bhastrika that I taught you, you need to be pulling the air from here. Also for Brahmari Pranayama, for the bumblebee Pranayama, you should be pulling from the thoracic region. Also for Udgit, which is the sound therapy, the sound emission of the holy sound, yeah? But that sound I gave you, that's also breathing from here. Okay? There is no abdominal breathing for the exercises I've given you. Yet there are many other pranayamas in which you will, yes, also breathe down into the stomach. But what you have to understand is when you do thoracic breathing, you're breathing by pulling from here. The breath comes down to this point, then splits along the diaphragm, and then feeds your lungs. Okay, imagine the lungs being fed, if you like, from the top all the way down to the bottom, okay? So it's like filling a glass of water. Obviously it will fill from the bottom first and then upwards. So imagine the air going in like that. After that, if you keep putting air in, or you keep putting water into a glass of water, what will happen? It will overspill, won't it? So in the same way, once you fill the lungs, the air actually should come back down and then into the stomach region after filling up your lungs. So it is thoracic breathing, but it does go all the way to your abdominal, your navel here, your Manipur chakra. Look, that's why my chest is mainly expanding in thoracic breathing, but I'm breathing all the way down to the abdomen. And you'll see my abdomen, my stomach, will slightly inflate towards the end, not at the beginning. But if I thought about breathing into my stomach at the very beginning, watch this. This is called abdominal breathing, the 3rd aspect of breathing from the nose. Do you see the difference now? So just with my mind, I thought about breathing into my stomach, and the stomach inflated. I thought about breathing to the thoracic region, and my lungs filled up first, and then the stomach filled at the very end. And then I thought about breathing and just pulling from the nose physically, and only this region was oxygenated. Yeah, it comes into the head mainly. Yeah, when you breathe. So this is the difference. So, breathing into your thoracic region, yes, ideally, I would like people to imagine the breath going along the diaphragm and then going all the way, filling up the lungs, and then going all the way down, the breath then coming into the stomach region. And basically what's happening is the diaphragm is being pushed down, therefore the lungs start expanding more, you see, when the breath comes all the way down to the stomach. So that's a good thing. Okay, and as soon as we breathe in, we hold the breath for some exercises, and for some we don't. And then we breathe out. So we reverse the process and breathe out. And when we breathe out, we slightly pull in the stomach, as that helps for the stale air, or the doshit vayu, the stale air, the air that needs to come out, the carbon dioxide and so on, that needs to come out. That gets a push. It gets a slight push when you pull the stomach, and ever so gently it helps more gunk or stale air to come out of the system. Okay. Now let's work through the breathing exercise. So now I've explained the way you need to breathe. These are some of the common mistakes. All right. Your shoulders should be relaxed. I've mentioned how your hand should be. The Bhastrika Pranayama first, for the lungs. We need to hold Prana Mudra. Your pinky and your ring finger needs to be connected to the top part of the thumb, like so. And we're going to breathe in thoracically. We're going to do thoracic breathing. So you want to focus on the Anahata Chakra. Okay? You don't hold your fingers tightly together, just a light touch. Okay? There should be no physical tension, remember? I mentioned that earlier. There should be no physical tension on the face as you breathe in. All the effort should come from here. And then towards the end, it filled up my stomach. Common mistake, people don't focus on this point, and therefore thoracic breathing doesn't happen. So other mistake, they don't then take the breath all the way down into the stomach after filling their lungs. If you are not able to do that because it's too much work or too much to think about, don't worry about it. Just think about breathing down to this point. And even if you find it hard to visualize the breath going along the diaphragm and then into the lungs, that doesn't matter also. Just focus there as you breathe in and then breathe out from there. Okay? For now. Okay, these are all the steps. So we sometimes cannot do the whole thing, but you need to work in a stepwise. That's also fine, yeah? Because Rome wasn't built in a day, the common saying, yes? And that's why. And there are so many different variations of breathing exercises. So these are the ones I taught you, okay? Next. When we breathe in, then we generally hold the breath for the same amount of time, and then we breathe out for the same amount of time, okay? The first exercise I showed you was you just breathe in, and then you breathe out. So there's no holding, okay? So it's anywhere between 2 and 3 seconds in. It can even be 4 seconds if you're able to breathe in longer. So I breathed in here, and then I breathed out by pushing the stomach in ever so gently. Don't start pulling it in with force, okay? Gently, and that allows the breath to come out more efficiently. That was the first version. The second version was breathing in here for 6 seconds, then holding the breath for 6 seconds, then breathing out for 6 seconds, then holding the breath out for 6 seconds. Now, after the breathing in for 6 seconds, we then increased this hold after the breathing in from 6 seconds up to 30 seconds. So this was the second version. Okay, and the breathing out always remained 6, and the holding of the breath out always remained 6 seconds. However, on the holding the breath out, if you're not able to hold it out for 6 seconds, even 2 or 3 seconds is fine. But just don't rush to breathe straight back in after breathing out. Okay. So holding that mudra, and that's it. There's nothing more. I've mentioned the errors in breathing and how you need to focus and concentrate. The next version I showed you, so we held it 6 seconds, then 12, 18, 24, 30, and you can go from 36, 42, 48, 54 and 60. You can even go up to 60 seconds with the holding of the breath after the intake. Okay, but just work slowly, so take it up to 30 seconds gradually, and work on the 6-second hold for a little bit longer first, and then on the 12-second hold for a little bit longer, and then just do the 18, 24 and 30-second hold just perhaps once each. Okay. The first exercise, first version of Bhastrika should be ideally done for 3 to 5 minutes. The second version should also be done for 3 to 5 minutes, ideally 5 minutes. The third version should also be done for about 3 to 5 minutes, but ideally about 5 minutes again. And that's the one where we have 3 postures. You'd be sitting on a seat, or you'd need to sit in this position called Vajra Asana, like this. Okay, Vajra Asana. And on the seat you would be in this position, okay, like so. First is your 4 fingers on the thigh, the thumb would be on the pelvic bone. Here we breathe into the lower lung. Then the second version is the first finger connects with the top part of the thumb, and this connects to this allows the breath to come into the middle part of the lung. Then the third one is where you simply make a fist, the thumb goes in, the 4 fingers around, a light fist, and the area alongside the pinky here, the side of the hand, will connect on the pelvic bone, and your knuckles will rest on the thigh. The arms should not be pulled back like this with force, just relax, keep the chest slightly forward, and you breathe in. But here the breathing in now needs to happen over 9 seconds. So when we start increasing the intake of breath, we need to reduce the strength of pulling the breath in. And a common mistake is people pull in the breath far too rapidly at the very beginning. Okay? Far too fast at the very, very beginning. Yes, the stomach goes slightly in before you release the breath. So as you're about to release the breath, at the same time really, you pull the stomach in. Okay, it has to be done in tandem, right? So, and you would not do this pulling of the stomach in for this exercise, the one where I'm seated on the seat. Okay, for the 3 parts, the air goes to the 3 parts of the lungs. Okay, so that was for the other versions. You do pull the stomach in. For that one, you don't need to. So either you sit in Vajra Asana like this on the floor, which is called thunderbolt position, and you must be sitting on your heels like so. Okay. Otherwise, you have to sit on a chair. So you cannot sit on the floor cross-legged, or that is Sukhasana, or Siddhasana, or in Padmasana. This is the only way to do it, in this position or Vajrasana. Okay? So we're always breathing in through the nose, and we're always breathing out through the nose. Okay? There's no mouth breathing in anything. Now, the lower lung, you're breathing in over 9 seconds, so the strength has to be reduced. The common mistake, as I was saying, is people pull in the breath far too quickly like this, and they pull from the nose, the nasal. Again, the pull should be from the thoracic region. So when you start pulling from the nose, notice here, you've created so much tension here in this head region. That's why it doesn't work. So if you're pulling from here, look, I can continue pulling it for a longer time. And I'm pulling it in one constant and over a much longer time. Therefore, the strength of the intake is much less. And where people go wrong is they pull too much breath in at the beginning, and then they run out of steam. They're not able to keep pulling in. Then you must not force yourself. So another common mistake is people force themselves to keep pulling in, or then they create strain in their body. Okay, this is wrong. Neither must you hold the breath inside you forcefully when you feel you need to release. You must. Okay? So it's as per your capacity. That it's as per your ability. Yeah? So however you are able to cope. You can't say, oh no, I've got to go another 5 seconds. I'm going to hold it. No, this is wrong. Okay? So it's just that your initial intake was too strong and you need to learn. A more smoother and a more softer intake. But I'm pulling from here. Good. So that's covered off Bhastrika. These were the common mistakes in Bhastrika. Let me just refer to any other questions that I've had. You must always do the order of the exercises the way I've already explained them in all of the Facebook videos, so you need to look at them basically, okay? So you must always do Bhastrika first, then you must do Kapalabhati, then you can do Agnisar, or you can do Agnisar, but although I've asked you to do that separately as a standalone exercise. So after Kapalabhati you could do Ujjayi Pranayama, which is for the throat. After Ujjayi Pranayama you would do Anulom Vilom. After Anulom Vilom you would do Bhramari. After Bhramari you would do Udgit, which is the humming sound. Okay, so that's the order. They have to be in that order, okay, because we're working through in a certain way. It's a logical way. There's certain processes. It's the process you have to follow. Now, Kapalabhati. Common faults, people pull their stomach in. Look, the stomach should go naturally when you throw the breath out. That's common mistake number one. They pull their stomach in and then they hold their stomach back. And they create tension, they create lower back pain. Some people increase their blood pressure. Some people start getting stomach problems, even angina, because they're doing it with too much force, a medium force. This is less than medium force for people who have high blood pressure or heart conditions, or who have had an operation in the last 3 months. That is less than medium strength. This is medium strength. In this one, you should hold, that was the second common mistake, yeah? As I mentioned, the pulling in of the stomach and holding it back. Then the second one was the strength. The mudra you should hold is you should roll your first finger into the base of the thumb. This is to remove pain. So if you have a lot of pain in the body, you can just hold this mudra when you're doing Kapalabhati. But the better one to hold is that plus that. So your next two fingers join at the top part of the thumb. This is called Apan Vayu Mudra. So then this helps to remove toxins. This helps to remove pain. Okay? If you just wanted to remove toxins, you don't have any body pains, you can just do that. Okay? 2 middle fingers connected to the top part of the thumb. Again, light. Third common mistake in Kapalabhati is people feel that because they're breathing out with a strength, they need to breathe, that because they're breathing out with a certain strength, they feel they need to breathe back in with a certain strength. This is a mistake. Okay? So this is what they start doing. They use their nostrils so heavily, or even if they pull from the chest here, that they start hyperventilating and they become very tired. Okay? They lose a lot of energy, and this is wrong. So you must not do that. You must breathe out with that medium strength I showed you, or less than medium strength if you have certain conditions, as I've already mentioned. However, you must trust the body to breathe back in by itself. This is a natural process and it will happen. I'm going to come closer so you can hear the breath coming in. This is not me breathing in. It's actually because I'm creating this fast throwing out of breath. It creates what we call a reflex action, i.e. the stomach naturally moves in. So that's the first point. And then the breath comes back in naturally, but in a more softer way, because you've created what we call a partial vacuum. By throwing any breath out fast in one clean sweep, like a sneezing or a coughing or a vomiting action, then there is a partial vacuum inside. then the body itself, well, obviously if the mouth was open, you breathe into the mouth, but you're keeping your lips sealed. So the breath will come in back through the nose. Okay, and this will naturally happen, and you need to feel this. So this is another very common mistake of Kapalabhati. Okay, so no pulling of stomach, no holding the stomach back, getting the strength correct, and then not breathing back in with force, just allowing the natural breath to come in. You can pull in a little bit if you wish, if you feel you need to, but it's not required. If you've thrown the breath out correctly, it will come back in naturally. Okay, good. That is Kapalabhati. The next exercise I wanted to cover off, that one is Anulom Vilom, and I won't be able to do all of them actually because there's too much to cover and I need to do the other session in Hindi. So let's do Anulom Vilom. In Anulom Vilom, these are the three main exercises. I've covered all the three versions of Bhastrika, I've covered Kapalabhati, and now I'm covering Anulom Vilom. Now, I forgot to mention one other thing, that when you're breathing in, where do you need to focus? You can either focus on the tip of the nose when you're breathing in, or just down here, where the bottom of the nose just meets with in my case, a light moustache here, look, there. So you can either focus there as you breathe in. Okay, or when you breathe out, yeah? So if you want to focus somewhere, this is when you're mainly meditating, okay? This is a point of focus, but otherwise you're going to be thinking of this point when you're breathing in for Bhastrika. Kapalabhati, we've already covered. Anulom Vilom, you want to be thinking of this point here, Ajya Chakra. This is the mudra you will hold, or the hand seal in the left hand. Okay, if you're right-handed, your right hand will be on the face like this, doing this. If you're left-handed, you can do it this way, then your right hand will hold this mudra. Okay, but you must always block your right nostril and breathe in through the left. So this is common mistake one. People don't start by breathing in through the left. And one cycle of Anulom Vilom finishes when you breathe back out through the left. So you breathe into the left, out to the right, in through the right, and back out through the left. That is one Anulom Vilom, like this. Just under the cartilage here, gently put the thumb there as you block it. You don't press it hard. That's another common mistake. Okay? Because remember, we're not trying to create any physical stress on the body. Because as soon as you do, that's where your focus goes. So once you breathe in to the left, these two fingers are used. Why do we use this mudra? Because this is the apana. Remember I said to you, apana mudra, this removes toxins. So we're doing a yagya. And when we do yagyas or fire sacrifice, we actually throw ablutions into the fire with this mudra like this. In the same way, you're doing a yagya sitting here. The fire is burning here, if you like, or the oxygen is being supplied here. The heat is going to be generated all along here. Okay, this oxygen is this breathing in is actually mainly benefiting the brain and oxygenating the brain, and the whole of the nervous system is being fired up with this process. So hold this mudra. Your first finger, index finger, is not used. You can actually place it there for support on the third eye here, gentle pressure, and you breathe in through the left. 2 to 3 seconds in, and no pause, then block with the fingers, the two fingers, just gently again, look like so, and then breathe out to the right, into the right, connect the thumb, and then lift the fingers. So you always connect the finger or the thumb so you always connect the fingers first, then lift the other one off. You first connect that one, and then lift the other one off, okay? In through the left, out to the right, in through the right, out through the left is one Anulom Vilom. The strength should be less than medium strength in this. So this is medium strength. That's too much force. Much gentler. This a gentle way of doing it, okay? And again, I've mentioned the timings you must do for all of those. So that, folks, is the kind of common mistakes. Let me just see if there's any. people open their eyes in Anulom Vilom. You must never do that. You should keep your eyes shut, I've already mentioned, for the entire breathing exercises. And you should hold that discipline. And especially if you open your eyes when you're doing Anulom Vilom, the oxygenation which is going into the brain, because the eyes are very near the brain, you'll start feeling the coolness coming out from the eyes. So you don't want to do that. It's another common mistake. I'm just trying to think of anything else which is really important, unless anybody's got any questions on what I've already told them. But in Anulom Vilom, you want to just visualize the breath coming in from here. So tip of the nose or down there, just focus as it comes in. And take it at least to the third eye. If you are able to visualize it going all the way down the back of the head, across the top of the head, back of the head, down the neck, down to the spine, to the anus, just above the anus, the Muladhara chakra, which is your root chakra. And then breathing out, going all the way back up the spine and out from here. If you are able to do that visualization, great. If not, just feel it coming in there, touching the third eye and breathing back out. Or if you can, take it all the way to the Sahasrara chakra here, the crown chakra. Breathe in and breathe back out. Breathe in and then breathe back out. Very important. Focus, where your focus or visualization should be. It's 12:40. I've got only 4 minutes rest before my next session, which is going to be in Hindi. So if you wish to listen to all of this again, but in Hindi now, so be it. It's up to you. Otherwise, the video is there in English. All of my Facebook videos are there. People simply need to go scroll down and start from session 1 and just work through in date order and go through all the exercises, complete all of them. The ones I didn't get a chance to mention today was Agnisar, Ujjayi Pranayama, Brahmari and Udgit. But these were the main ones, and maybe I'll just do another session to cover those off later. Enjoy your practice. Practice makes perfect. No, it doesn't. Good practice makes perfect. I always say that. It's not just practice that makes perfect, but good practice. And the problem is there is a lot of intricacies with pranayamas. Obviously, if I was there with you sitting, seeing you, I could make you perfect this so much quicker and so much better. But the compulsions of the time, and a lot of people like to learn things through videos and TV and everything. It's not the ideal way. The ideal way is always face to face and sitting with someone. But do the best you can. I have tried to make them very thorough. Just simply listen and try and meditate upon what you've heard. Don't just rush into it. Rewind and replay. Forward it to people, please. Get people to join. They need to become my friends to access all of the videos, because they're not publicly available. Unless you're a friend, you won't get to see it. So you need to send me a friend request. And can I ask you all, please, to subscribe to my YouTube. It's called AJ Yoga Guru, yeah? And dash Ajay K Sharma, but you just need to put AJ Yoga Guru on and the YouTube videos will come up. Subscribe to that, because I'm going to start, if I can get more subscriptions on the YouTube, then I will start doing live YouTube sessions, which are much easier to access for everyone, and it would allow me to do so many more things. All the best. Namaste.